Hello and welcome to the Friday, June 16th edition of the Contributor Comms team meeting. How is it, June? As a reminder, we do operate under a code of conduct, which essentially says to be respectful of your fellow speakers and attendees and generally be excellent to each other. And why is my desk doing that?
Someone has taken over all the IoT devices in your home.
Yeah, apparently. All right. At the start of the meeting, we like to offer an opportunity for any new folks to introduce themselves and unmute and say hello, or type in chat and say hello. Is there anyone new on who wants to say hi? I think everyone's been on at least once before. So hello and welcome back. If you ever do want to introduce yourself or reintroduce yourself to the group, feel free at any time. All right, let's dive in. I was doing other stuff before this meeting and didn't actually update the notes before this meeting. Does anyone have any updates, big wins that they want to share? I've been out, last week or 2 weeks? Just 1 week, I hope. Was it 2 weeks? I don't know. So there might be things that I don't know about. Updates and big wins.
I mean, last week's update and big win was the CDN article for DL.case.io. So that got out the door like literally Friday of the meeting. So that was awesome. But yeah, that's just bringing you up to speed.
Thank you. That is an update for me. So I'm going to put it in the notes.
There you go. Why not?
And that was one we were working on with Fastly that Arnaud had come in and requested that Frederico was working on. Yeah. Thank you, Frederico. As usual.
Pretty awesome how that all went.
Rocking it.
We mentioned like doing like a case study type Kate's.dev blog post, like a meta post about how folks come to us when they need to get big comms out. That was discussed kind of lightly. But this could be a like use case or case study that we could highlight or something. And other than that, yeah, I did like a SIG walkthrough kind of thing towards the end of the meeting. So I need to get that from YouTube. And
very nice.
Chop that out and put it someplace else. Because I think that's beneficial to a lot of folks. But other than that, yeah, we talked about some release team stuff, just as far as being liaisons, and then yeah, just I think that's it. I don't recall anything else significant from the meeting last week. Anyone else?
I do have an update for the Spotlight blog and the SIG release. So we created that group with the co-chairs and the leads. And the best thing is that the team is working on the drafting the answers for the question that I have shared. And hopefully I have got this confirmation that I'll be receiving the answers from the team by the end of the next week. So we can start drafting the blog as soon as we get the answer. So the deadline for the answers that they have provided, that will be giving you the answers by the end of the next week. That is around June 22-23.
Sounds good. And since we're talking about SIG spotlights, I might as well do this update. I'm sorry, FICA. I'm so sorry. FICA has been on top of it, asking me to get the questions answered for like over a month now. And I have not been able to because I've been out and I'm sick.
Is it SIG ContribEx?
Yeah, the SIG ContribEx blog post. It's also...
Is that something I can help you with at all? I mean, I know it's your thing. And it's...
Well, I want to get the other co-chair and the tech leads involved.
Okay, cool.
I keep meaning to mention it to them and I keep not doing that. But also the other co-chair has been out and about doing lots of things like KCD Bangalore and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, yes. I was saying that, like you asked me to like get other co-chairs involved, and you shared the contacts of Madhav and all. The thing was that the questions that I have framed, it's specially like framed in such a way that only you can answer those questions. That is the reason I wasn't able to reach out to the other co-chairs and leads. So maybe you can just check once. Yeah, check the questions once, and if there are something that you would like to forward it to some other co-chairs, then I'll do that. But for the ones that I've actually made it for, like, I want that to be answered by you, you'll have to answer it. So that is the reason. Yeah.
Thank you. Good context to have. Clearly, I haven't reviewed these questions very thoroughly. I think there's probably stuff that we could add them to, but since I hopefully can focus a little bit more now, I only have one more trip in June. I'm hoping to get through those and actually answer them this week. So let's hold me accountable on that. Let's ping each other every day on that. That sound okay to you, Fika?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Very, very much apologize for that. This happens sometimes with SIG Spotlights. It's not just me, but definitely my fault here.
I think no one of the weeks. So that means
cool.
Hope you've recovered completely.
It's all Kaslin's fault. Yes, perfect. Exactly what I was going to type in the notes as well. Exactly what we need. Definitely still recovering. I was pretty out of it yesterday. But I should be fine. It's just my body being like, why did you do so much? Maybe stop that. But we did power wash both of the porches, so that's
God, I need to power wash
their
some
benefits.
stuff, and I just don't want to.
Much harder than I expected.
Yeah, that's typically call people for that in my case. So annoying.
So anyway, all right, moving on. So I did a couple of SIG Spotlight blog post updates here. We'll do more in the regular section for it, so you don't have to update on that right now unless you particularly want to. But updates, big wins. Any others before we move into new items? Sounds like not. I had a question about, so the article that you mentioned like doing an article about how contributors can make use of our services, basically.
Yeah, like this is, the work Federico and Arnaud and everyone did, like that is a good kind of case study for contributor comms to highlight like, hey, look, this is a quote customer kind of thing coming to us and asking for help, and here's how it went, and here's the whole process, and boom, out it went, and fairly smooth, right? Versus like coming to us last minute kind of thing. I wanted to highlight what coming to us early gets you kind of thing, right? As opposed to the crisis comm situations, right?
I love that.
Yeah. So I can't quite think of a great open source name for it or anything other than a case study. So
I love case study. I love case studies in general.
Nice. Okay.
Like that idea.
And it would help in also making it more well known that people actually can count on us for that. So
right, like we're capable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. Sounds like a good plan. I like the idea of that. I think we should add it to the board.
I can do that real
We'll
quick.
get there. Yeah, go ahead. That'd be good. What else do we want to do to set that up for success right now? It's going to be you again, Federico, isn't it?
I mean, but I can help, right? Like this is where like.
But this one is complex.
Yeah,
because
like me actually being in marketing kind of helps here, right? Like, let's just be honest.
Because otherwise, it's also maybe someone else can also participate, because I'm assuming that, I don't know, if we're going to speak about it, I'm not going to like asking myself questions or
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
right.
No,
Tell us, Fred, what great
Yeah.
job did you did? That's
this would be something we all kind of collaborate on.
exactly.
And,
It
like,
should be
put
something
in
less. Yeah,
our own quotes, right? Like
exactly.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Less of an interview and more of you're right, more of a case study of an analysis on how information can be, how we can put your information out there. An example, and going, actually we could go through both the last one and the other one, showcasing different approaches, one more urgent, the other more structured, etc. Yeah,
got to get some quotes or testimonials in there from the
from
faster
other
picks,
people,
right?
Exactly. There's a lot of quotes, there's a lot of highlights, that kind of thing. Absolutely.
I love it.
I just added it to the board. It's at the bottom. I put it as a quote case study, so that is highlighted as such.
Perfect.
Yeah, we can make it happen.
So that means we'll sync up on that each week. Is there anything else that we can do to help set you up for success? Do you want to talk about a timeline? Do you want to just chat offline to figure out
it's
more
just
details?
an idea right now, and I'm
Do you want to start a document right now?
I mean, I could.
You could.
It's
an option.
What
there's something liberating in creating an empty document with a name.
It's very
true.
It's
That's very true. Let me do that real quick.
And then put it on the board item.
Yeah.
Right.
It's as good as done, right? It's
sure.
Boom.
Like it might
ready
as well
for
be
review
done at that point, right? Yeah, totally.
Take notes, everyone. Something it took me way too long in my career to learn. If you just start it right now, things will go much better.
All right, I'm going to call it a case study on customers of contributor comms for now. I don't know a better way to call it, so I'll just do that. Start stuff.
I was also reminded recently of the talk we did, and whenever that was, the KubeCon talk that we did where it was called like share your contributor stories through
was
contributor
that
comms or something
LA?
like that. Remember that?
The LA one where we pre-recorded it?
Maybe.
Was it pre-recorded or not? Like,
or
that's what
either that or it was earlier than that.
Maybe. Who knows? But you could go back.
But I was recently reminded of that. And this kind of reminds me of that also. It's like, hey, we can help you. Really cool thing that came out of that was we talked about the Twitter automation on GitHub, and someone actually tried to use that, but we were really bad at the time about like actually reviewing those, and it took like months for us to get that tweet out. It was so bad. And we're so much better now, and I am so appreciative of the work that all of you do. So when you write things like that, be aware that people may use them.
Yeah. I almost wonder, like, I don't think we're going to use anything Git related to replace the Twitter together. thing.
Yeah, I kind of think so too.
Should we deprecate the repo? Right? Like,
that is a conversation that maybe we should have.
Yeah. Could put that on.
Because I don't think we're ever going to work it out such that GitHub can give us all that we want.
No, there'll be another system that needs, like, we'll need, basically, if we're going to do anything through GitHub, like, we need a system that says, hey, once this hits approve, Zapier can get involved and then put it in buffer kind of thing. But there's a lot of steps in between here and there. So some folks have tested it. It kind of makes sense. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Also, I think it's really beneficial for us to have a workflow that contributors can really easily interact with, because they already interact with GitHub all the time. So that was kind of the point of putting it in GitHub to begin with.
Yeah.
But if GitHub becomes this thing where maybe sometimes someone will put something on it and we don't actually have all the automation to like make it go out at the time that they want it to go out and stuff like that. So we're going to have to like keep a close eye on that repo that almost no one ever uses.
Yeah.
We're never going to notice. And it's going to be another situation like the one I just described where someone put something in there and we're like, oh, we need to actually do something with that now. And then it's going to take forever. So it wouldn't be a good experience for the users in the end, I think, if it ends up being something like that. So that's my thought on it.
Well, I agree with you. Yeah.
If it becomes like a low third fiddle to buffer. Noted. So something for us to talk about more in the future. I don't think we have to figure that out right this second. Right now, it's essentially deprecated, effectively deprecated.
Yeah, I mean, if we were like, hey, we need to wait for 72 hours, it's like, do we really?
But do we really? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is just.
We could deprecate it and just be like, hey, why don't you ping us on Slack instead? You should also be on there as a contributor.
Yeah, at this point, I think we need a tweet form of some sort. Maybe. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of ways we could do this, but
honestly, I think a ping on Slack is better. Just like free form. I need a tweet about this.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean,
you want us to write it? You want to write it yourself?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think we could just say, right, like having a form input to put a draft thing in buffer, and then you and I just have to, or all of us have to keep an eye on buffer better. Maybe that's fine too. I don't know. There's ways. It's going to be however we figure it out.
That is true. Buffer also has this issue where I don't really look at it for drafts unless I know something is coming.
Right.
Which also kind of is like, well, we got it so that people could just do that whatever.
So yeah, that's why I think maybe a form to a draft might actually work with a regular reminder. I don't know. It's
I mean, if you had automation to take the form to buffer, but I think that's another step. I set up this whole form process at work so that people could request content work from us, and no one has ever used it in like a year and a half.
There you have it.
Use forms is my current opinion.
Interesting.
And I certainly never look at it. So
yeah. Okay. Good to know.
I vote Slack. Slack is the new process.
Well, if we can't do GitHub, yeah, I would do Slack. But yeah, then it's all manual. That's my only fear.
This is true. If we actually ended up getting a lot of use of it, then we would need to look back into some of these processes. But right now, the reality is that people don't use it.
Well, it's broken and they know it. So yeah, but
there's that
the
too,
capability needs to be highlighted and how to do it. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
That could be part of our case study.
It could be. Could be.
Yeah. Drop into contributor comms and say you need a tweet.
Indeed. I think that's kind of it right now. Which maybe if we advertised, we would actually get people using, and then we would have more data on what we should actually do for that process.
Yeah,
maybe that's what we should do.
We should probably start advertising. Hey, do you need tweets? The various SIGs, right?
We could tweet about it and we could put it on SIG ContribEx. I could mention it in the leads meeting.
I think a full court press short of Slack bot it's fine.
Yeah.
Just get the senior folks to acknowledge it and understand that it's there for them to take advantage of, as in drop in our channel and ask for a tweet.
Yeah, and we should put a little bit of guidance there on like our goal is to communicate with the contributor audience mainly. We have some end users, but that's kind of our primary goal. Like, when should you use this kind of stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that could just be like a pinned Slack message at this point, right? Like, I think that's
Yeah.
fine. And we can point people to that message and be like, here's the process.
Like that idea.
Yeah.
Maybe you
run
should
with
put
that
a
for
thing
now.
on. Yeah, maybe you should put a thing on the board for us to
Like-
create a pinned Slack message about creating tweets.
I'm not afraid.
All right. Or you could do that right this second, because I am going to completely forget we talked about that
Yep.
at 9
Mhm.
a.m. Immediately after this meeting. That is the reality. Anyway, we should move on probably.
Yeah.
So if no one else has any updates, big wins, or new items, we'll move into the board. Anyone else want to talk about any updates, big wins, or new items before we move on? Sounds like no. And that cough went away, so that's good. Let's bring up the board. Cool. All right, more SIG Spotlight updates. Frederico, book reading club or any other ones that you're working on right now?
Yes. So book reading club, I've reached out to Carlos Santana for arranging things. I did it yesterday or 2 days ago, so no updates yet. What I asked was around the formats that we want to use. Why am I saying this? Because we've been having these discussions around Twitter Spaces and YouTube and stuff like that. Some people that I've been contacting for interviews, they seem to somewhat prefer something more live than the Google Docs. So I've asked, what is his preference in terms of doing it? Defaulting to the Google Docs, just written stuff. And I'm waiting for feedback. Should get something soon enough. Okay, so it's still very early compared to the time I ping them. So that's it for the book reading club. For the SIG architecture stuff, like I said last week, I think that I have around half of them with initial content, so 3 out of 6. I've pinged the ones that didn't get back to me this week. So hopefully we should be near completion soon. If not, maybe we can go with the ones that we have, because we already have quite a bit of content, right? I mean, 3, each one of them with like 6 questions. It's quite a bit of content, right? I would prefer to have everything and then I make a series, but we can analyze that's when we have a status update from everyone. And I think that's it for me.
And our usual advice to use the doc comes from past experiences where
Transcribing
it kind of falls apart at
at
the point where you're transcribing. So if you feel comfortable doing that, like there's nothing wrong with just doing audio interviews. It's just FYI, you've got an extra step.
No, that's true. That's what I actually. That's ipsis verbis what I said to Carlos Santana. I was thinking, and that's another topic, but we could do like this half blog, half events kind of thing, in which we would do a written interview, much like when you have an interview with the author of a book, right? There are 2 different things. One is the written words. The other is like using, for example, Twitter Spaces to go after it as a follow-up to the written interview, right? So, I mean, this is just an idea. Instead of seeing things as one or the other, I think it could be useful to make one as a natural follow-up of the other. We would have an interview out there, people could read it, and then we could do additional questions, a freer kind of interaction, and then the people from events in our team could make that part. I mean, just an idea.
Wait, so are you proposing this as just like a lighter weight blog post would be the format of the output, or?
This was a discussion. I think it started two weeks ago. Although we did, it was I think Chris that mentioned this last week.
Oh, the Twitter Spaces, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this as a follow-up. So I'm not saying that Twitter Spaces should only be used by that, but in terms of the interviews, I'm thinking of this. We will do an interview, normal one, Google Docs, etc. Blog posts out there, and when the blog post was published, we could arrange for a Twitter Space live thing that would be based on the like we have the person A which does X, and we have this interview. If you're interested in learning more, join us, and we'll go through it. We could
built-in content schedule.
Yeah. So it's more of an additional, like, add something on top of the interview instead of replacing it in this case, although I can also see it being used when there's no interview there. But when we make an interview, and if people are up for it, and I've got a couple of people that have asked me about if we do video interviews, maybe this is an interesting approach. We would have the best of both worlds. The written interview, more structured, with more time to think, etc., and then we could have an half an hour Twitter Space kind of thing that would amplify the message.
Yeah, on the video part of it, that's basically it's kind of the concept of the meet our contributors series that used to happen on YouTube, but that doesn't happen anymore.
No. Although Twitter Spaces doesn't have video, right? But it's live. What I meant is Twitter Spaces, or whatever you want to use like that. I do think it's interesting because it can be relatively straightforward to set up.
Mm-hmm.
It's and could bring people that are interested in the topic.
I don't disagree. Totally on board with the Twitter Spaces part of it. I was just also mentioning if we wanted to consider YouTube as well, there is precedent for that.
Mm-hmm.
That is also something that we could talk about if we wanted to.
Technically, we could do both if we really wanted to.
Yeah, we could do both if folks wanted to do it. It's just that folks have to be willing to do that. But maybe start with the Twitter Spaces. But I just wanted to mention that. So that someday when we're doing all of these SIG spotlights and we're doing Twitter Spaces for each one, and we're like, this is easy, we could add more onto this, then we can do YouTube too. Cool. So I wasn't logged in when you were first talking about the book reading club, but you said the status on that was that you had sent out the questions. I wanted to write that down for you, Frederico. Book reading club status? What do you want to write? Oh. All right, we'll come back to that. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't on mute. Apologies.
All good. So what did you want to write for the status on the book reading club? Sorry, I wasn't logged in, so I couldn't write it down for you.
I can do it. Yeah, so, sure. Contacted leads, waiting for feedback. I mean, that's enough.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's what I thought. Cool. Thank you very much. Sounds good. I like the Twitter Space idea. We'll have to decide which SIG Spotlight we want to try that out with, I guess. And if there's anything that we need to set up to be able to run Twitter Spaces.
Yeah. I thought that it could be an interesting use case just to keep things going. Obviously, the part of the Twitter Space would be done by the events area, etc. But just like the blogs, we can all jump in terms of participation and etc.
I love it. I think we should do it. It'll be fun. All right, moving on. Our tech leads have not been in this call for a long time. I'm getting a little concerned about it.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where it's like I'm the de facto tech lead again, I feel like almost.
Yeah, we should probably do something about that. You and I should talk about it, Chris. I'm
Yeah.
going to move the add all use cases for Zapier automation. Actually, should I just mark this as done?
I know
It says that it's
we
still
went through some
open.
issues last week.
Oh yeah, Zapier account created. Oh yeah, you were using this to track too.
I think I was using a few of them to track, but we finally settled on this one. But basically the update with Zapier is Nigel thinks everything like at face value looked good. He's gonna dive a little deeper and make sure everything's working right. And then I think that'll be done. But he said he was gonna do it later this week. So I was gonna ping him next week. Thank you.
Working with Nigel to make sure everything is set up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're migrating everything out of his account into the group one. So he has access to all the things. Like I don't have access to the G Drive YouTube directory, for example, to make sure that the Zapier is actually doing the right thing, right? So he's got to verify all that basically, or I got to get access somehow, which I don't know how to do.
Cool. I'm just going to reassign that one to you.
Yeah.
Update comment. Okay.
Cool.
Sorry about that. Okay. SIG CLI Spotlight. Is ARPIT on today? I don't think so. Our last update for that was that ARPIT has had exams, as many folks did, so it was kind of on hold. So I'll have to check in on that next time ARPIT is around. Next one. Guidelines for sensitive end user impacting comms. I guess we move that to
It's done, I think.
actively working on.
I mean, when you look at the original ask, might be a good opportunity to work on this while we're working on the Fastly comms.
Yeah.
I think this falls under the case study now more than the like generate guidelines kind of thing. Like the case study will probably generate guidelines as an artifact at this point.
Cool. So maybe move
Just link
this.
like can you do something like what is copy link and project? Oh, that just copies the actual thing.
Yeah.
I wish you could like associate things.
This is a dupe.
Yeah, well, or it's not quite a dupe. Like it does need to be done, but it needs to be done as part of the other thing.
Yeah.
Let me
Just do it as a comment, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Should do this alongside creating the case study about the Fastly CDN comms. Okay. I'm cool with leaving it at that. Moving on to the next thing. Signode. Nitish.
I have the questions drafted and have sent it to the leads as well, right? So I'm pretty much looking for the answers now.
Nice. Didn't even need to pause it. That was our last update.
Yeah, exams are over.
Yeah. Our bar is not that high. So sometimes these things take a while. So questions are drafted. You said you still haven't sent them out yet, or?
The questions are drafted. I have to send them. Just making a group with all the
Haven't sent
people who. Yes.
Sounds good. Update. Excellent. Thank you. SIG ContribEx, we talked about that one. Caslin is terrible.
You're not terrible. You're busy.
Planning to work on this week. This is true. And that's June 16th. Can't even blame release. I feel like most of the time the blame for this is release.
Or KubeCon.
Or KubeCon, that is very true. I don't have either of those excuses right now. I did kind of at the beginning.
Wait long enough. And you
Anyway. Very true. Let's try not to do that. All right. Update storytelling resources to blogging resources. Is that still something you want to work on, Federico, or something that you've done? Do you remember this discussion?
Yeah, I remember that.
Cool.
And I think that I did some of that, right? Let me see what.
I think
is
you did at
missing.
least a little bit of it. I don't know if you.
Yeah, still the README file is still not there up there. Yeah, I could put that as my next task.
Cool.
Yeah, add info about yes, I'll put that on my radar. It was off. I thought that I had done what was needed there, but there was still some additional stuff that we discussed that could be useful. So I'll be on it.
Cool. I will update that with that. All right. Good stuff. Investigate Twitter Spaces. We've already discussed that. Let's do Twitter Spaces that align with SIG Spotlight blog posts. That would be very cool. I think we should do that. I think the next time that we have a SIG Spotlight that's ready to come out, we should just try to do this along with it. That sound good to folks?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. SIG release. We already talked about that a little bit. Anything else you want to go over with the SIG release spotlight? Nitish.
I think I've pretty much given the update. Again, reframing all the things. We'll be receiving the answers at the end of the next week, and then we'll be proceeding with drafting the blog for the same.
Okay, sounds good. June 16. Get answers this week. Lots of stuff going to go on this week. Next meeting should be pretty exciting.
That sounded like a threat.
Yeah. It was a threat to myself, to be honest.
Scare yourself in the process.
Truth.
Yeah. Good job.
It
Good
is,
job.
it is.
That's one way to get it done.
Or not. We'll find out.
I didn't
An
say it was
attempt.
healthy or anything, but yeah.
You know. All right. SIG release. Migrate various Zapier jobs to new contributors at account.
Someone was detected at your backyard.
Okay, so this is the actual issue that's happening with that. One of the sub issues of that other
Yeah.
item, I think, on the board. Anything you want to update with this? You updated it a week ago, so.
He's taking a look still and waiting on him, so I think it's fine.
Cool.
I'll update next week as needed.
Sounds good. Events lead shadow requirements. Did we get all of that in?
I don't know. Did we?
I know that I made some updates to that, but I think they didn't show up in the repo properly. So I need to look into this, and I don't know about the other leads if you have done this.
Not yet, not for blogs, no. There's a bit of information in the existing guidelines, but nothing like that, no.
Cool, I guess.
Okay. I guess I didn't do shadow requirements. I did the README, the main page README, and I don't think it ever showed up. So I think I must have like done the branching on that wrong or something, and just updated my own
Entirely possible.
my own fork or something. So I need to look into that. But yes, so events leads, we should, or oh, this is events leads specifically. Did I do it for each one?
Oh, I don't know.
Must have
Did
done
you?
it. Yeah, tech lead, blogging lead.
Ooh.
Okay. So I don't really want to update every one of these, but leads, we all have items that we need to do. So project lead and social media lead too. Okay. So that's it for the in progress items. I'll just leave that hanging there. I'll put a reminder about that in the Slack channel here in a minute. I'm gonna write that down. Maybe I won't
answer
because
something
my
real
desk
quick.
is a mess. Cool. All right, so that's kind of it for the in progress items. Let's talk about to do items. There's a SIG spotlight available. Recommendation there if anyone wanted one. I don't think anybody wants to take on a new item today, do they? Does anybody want to take on a SIG spotlight that doesn't have one yet? Doesn't sound like it. If you ever want to take on a SIG spotlight and write a blog post, you're always welcome. Just let us know. Promote new contributor workshop content. We're still waiting on the GitHub Workspaces thing. Comms guidelines for sensitive security topics. Great idea. Never gonna happen. Retrospective on registry comms. Honestly, I think that's not really gonna happen either, but that'll be a Chris thing, and he's talking on the phone. Notify comms team when a new issue is created. Maybe someday we'll figure that out. Slackbot is still broken. Sure is. Would be great to fix that before KubeCon, but none of our tech leads are here. Spotlight on the contributor summit. Oh, yeah, that was a cool idea. Was that your idea, Nitish? I feel like you were the one who mentioned that. Should have mentioned who mentioned that. Great idea though. Contributor summit work should be starting in the next week or two. I know, FICA, you're interested in working with the contributor summit. So I'll make sure to keep everyone informed when that starts. Update the GitHub team. That's something that we still need to do. Case study based on the CDN article. I'm going to move that to in progress. I'm going to say we're going to do it. Plans have been made. It is active. Twitter document in Slack how to get a tweet out. Also going to put that in progress. All right, so that's it for the board. Oh, Chris is back. Hello.
Sorry.
Only thing that I wanted.
Very important phone call.
Yeah. Only thing I wanted your input on for the to-do items, I think, is the retrospective on registry comms. Should we leave that there? Should we put it to won't fix?
Put it in won't fix. I'm very much in
Yeah.
the put it in won't fix category. I put my adminning notes in there because I just checked them and they're all kind of out of date or not accurate anymore. So
Oh, lovely.
on top of
Where
not
is
really
that?
having a place to put them, right? Like we don't have like a how-to doc anywhere, which we probably should, like a lead how-to or a tech lead how-to or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we created the sub-project lead role. That didn't exist when you had those adminning things. Yeah.
Yes.
So that should have mostly taken care of it.
Okay, so I can like
The ask
whenever
was
we
just like
do
to make
figure
sure
out
that
everything,
that stuff
yeah.
is
Yeah.
reflected.
Let me double check and before I absolutely shit can it, but I'm pretty sure it's shit cannable.
Cool. I'll also mention that we still need to update the GitHub team someday. I wanted to try to set up a one-on-one with you to just kind of go over some of these little lingering items.
Yeah, we can do that.
Kept
I'm
not getting
available.
around to it because of all the stuff that's been going on, but maybe next week.
Yeah, y'all been busy out here.
Yeah. June has been a lot. Could you DM me on Twitter or not Twitter, Slack. Twitter.
DM you on Twitter to make sure it never happens.
To make sure it does not occur. Yes. DM me on Slack so that I remember to make that calendar invite after this meeting. Because I swear, 9 o'clock hits and everything that happened for the last hour is just gone. New issue notify can also be done with Zapier to notify on Slack. Did we talk about that? We might have actually talked about that.
New issue notify can also be done with Zapier to notify.
So one thing that we had been working
yeah.
on.
Yeah, but you gotta be, we need a Slack admin to like plug it in for us. That's one of the things.
Mm.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's doable.
Yeah, it's doable.
Looks possible to notice on Slack via a mention in sigs.yaml. We didn't mention Zapier, but we did mention Slack. Well, if you are interested in working on that, just kind of figuring out, there's a whole bunch of notes here about the research that we've done about this, which there isn't a whole lot here to go off of really, but if you want to look into the Zapier Slack notification thing, basically what we would need to know is like,
I mean,
how would that work? Which, like, when someone creates an issue, what do they need to do in order to make that happen? What do we need to set up in there to make sure that we get notified?
And someone's done that, I thought. I forget. I don't know. I just work here.
Avinash was working on it, but Avinash hasn't been on in a while, so
I might have a screenshot laying around somewhere, maybe. But yeah, there's definitely a way to do that. We just got to get a connection. Like if you can find, or we can find a Slack admin that we could give the password to just plug in the right account so that we can put stuff somewhere, then yeah, that'd be great. Because all we need to do is like, there's a connections page, you know how like in If This and That, you have like all the apps, like same kind of concept where like you plug in your apps and then you do things kind of thing. So yeah.
And it might require some premium features as we can trigger multiple actions.
And we have the capability to
we
do
should
that.
have that, yeah.
Yeah.
To
The
look into it.
filtering, the multiple steps, that's all available in this account, which is great.
So we've got that. Don't need to worry about a cost request. Speaking of cost requests, we need to set up Mastodon.
It is. I got the RSS
Oh, did
feeds
you? Okay.
going to buffer Mastodon account. So that's done-ish as far as like the automated parts, right? Like it mirrors exactly what's happening on Twitter. I guess the other question is, if we post on Twitter, do we want to also post same thing on there?
Mastodon?
I would say yes, in most cases.
Generally.
Yeah. So let's see if that's even possible.
The only times when I don't do that is like if I want to thread, because you can't thread on Mastodon, but they do have longer post length, so you can kind of get more information in there. So that can sometimes be a difference between Mastodon and Twitter.
Triggers when you tweet something new.
We can do the use cases one and new issue to notify one. Cool. I'm just wondering what we need to add to the issue in GitHub to set that up. You said it's a plugin, so I guess we don't need to add anything to the issue. It's something that will trigger when a new issue is created, huh?
Yeah.
But we need to, whole thing.
There's work to be
about it
done
was-
in GitHub to create a label so that we can apply
Yeah,
it, and then it would
that
pick up
part.
the label somehow.
That's what we would need.
Somehow. I don't know.
And we
how
need to make sure
works.
that label gets applied to the issues automatically.
Right. There's a
I don't know
lot
how
of
that
stuff
works.
going on there.
Yeah.
But
Because like we
basically-
want to be notified about issues that come into the whole SIG ContribEx Slack or not Slack, GitHub. But we only want to be notified about some of them. Because like our issue process is we have a template within SIG ContribEx that
Right.
folks can request stuff from us. So we want to know when people use our template, basically, to create issues.
Mhm.
So that makes it a little bit tricky. It's
Well,
not
they
just
only
like comes
there's
in.
like we could create a trigger, I think, basically, and
Okay.
piece some things together. It might be a couple zaps, but I think we can have 20 or some crazy number.
Interesting.
Yeah, that'll be all right. We'll figure it out.
All
But yeah,
right.
there's a whole lot of auto labeling things that needs to happen behind the scenes too.
Add assignees. Yeah. I don't know if you're an org member. I think you have to be an org member to be assigned on these, which is weird. But I'm
yeah.
adding you in the comments. She's interested in this.
There you
And
go.
Chris.
That'll work.
Chris actually knows things about how our
I
zappers
need to
set.
drop. Sorry.
No worries.
All good. We are at time. I don't think
So
we had
have a great
anything else to
weekend.
cover. So
And next week we'll have a lot of things to cover, right?
yeah. Cool.
Take
Thanks
care.
for joining
Bye-bye.
today.
Bye guys. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead. Are there any other questions, comments, discussions that folks want to have before I stop the recording in the last minute? Not even a minute. Hello, it's 9 a.m. Anything else folks want to talk about on the recording? Cool. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording then.